This video is our formal request that the Memphis Shelby County Film Commission come together via an emergency meeting to correct a wrong. In November of 1987, African-American filmmaker Anthony Elmore began production of Tennessee's first independent 35mm feature film production. There exists no record whereas this Memphis' first 35mm independent feature film production was ever announced to the Memphis media. Historically, the first 35mm feature film produced in Memphis, Tennessee was the MGM 1929 African-American musical titled Hallelujah. It was not until 55 years later that Canon Films produced the 1984 film Making the Grade that was filmed at Rhodes College in Memphis. While the perception could be considered racist in nature, we would like to say that the Memphis Shelby County Film Commissioner Linn Sitler in the Memphis media was made aware that the first 35mm independent feature film production made in Memphis, there was an oversight and failing to inform the Memphis public that the first feature film production was taking place in 1987 in the historic African American community of Orange Mound, the first community in America built for blacks by blacks. It was also an oversight that the 35mm film production featured an African American crew who were brought out of town from Chicago to film the movie. The film crew and Anthony Elmore transformed his Orange Mound home at 1035 Sim Street in Memphis into a film set. Memphis Shelby County Film Commissioner Linn Sitler is on record of awarding the white film crew or for the 1982 film, the non-theatrical film I Was a Zombie for the FBI as late as January 23rd, 2020 in an email to Tracy Soule, copied to Anthony Elmore. Memphis Shelby County Film Commission Linn Sitler wrote, quote, "Research shows that he is not the city's first independent feature filmmaker, as some of his communications have stated. Morris Penzer take that title. In 1982, he released, quote, I Was a Zombie for the FBI, which he had directed. In 1984, Steve Ross released The Old Forest, which he had directed. Both films were shot on 16mm, so Anthony definitely still holds the title of the first Memphis independent feature filmmaker of any race to shoot on 35mm, and of course he holds the title, we believe, of first Memphis black independent filmmaker. Now, Linn Sitler makes clear in her January 23rd communication that she makes Anthony Elmore only a Memphis first black independent feature filmmaker and not the first independent feature filmmaker. This communication asks the Board of Commissioners to come together and acknowledge the fact that Anthony Elmore is Memphis' first independent feature filmmaker. Now, let's take this thing a bit further. Now, this communication asks that the Shelby County Board of Commissioners come together to, quote, formally censure Memphis Film Commissioner Linn Sitler for mistakenly or whatever it is purposely advocating, practicing, and noting that a 16mm film can be categorized as a feature film. The Memphis Shelby County Board of Commissioners should make clear to Memphis Film Commissioner Linn Sitler that during the days of analog 35mm film studios, only a 35mm film can be featured at a movie theater. Linn Sitler is the only film commissioner in America who would categorize a 16mm as a feature film. Featured or an independent film that was released. You cannot play a 16mm film at a movie theater. This is considered an amateur film or a student film. Now, in a Memphis Flyer story titled Zombified by Chris Davis, dated October the 18th, 2007, noted in the Memphis Flyer, it says, quote, "But Zombie, which was directed by Morris Pence's first and only film, which was only shown once in Memphis, 6 times on Night Flight, nowhere else, somehow penetrated deeper into the American psychic that its too brief provenance might suggest." Now, there are many records noting that Memphis Shelby County Film Commissioner Linn Sitler used her position to honor Morris Pencer as an independent filmmaker. He only shot a 16mm film, but they honored these white Memphis State students as an independent feature filmmaker. Please note that Memphis Shelby County Commissioner Linn Sitler made an oversight and not announcing to Memphis media that Anthony Elmore's film production in Orange Mound was taking place. The perception that Anthony Elmore's film was not noted and announced by white Linn Sitler in the Memphis media could be perceived as a racial practice. While Anthony Elmore sent out news releases regarding the film's production, and the Memphis media nowhere announced the movie production, please note that the prestigious Los Angeles Times, who set the nation's standards for film going into productions, noted in their archives November 22nd, 1987. Look at this. It says, films going into production. The headline in the Los Angeles Times said The Contemporary Gladiator. It says, The Contemporary Gladiator shooting in Memphis, Anthony Elmore stars, directs, produces a comedy drama about his own ascent to the pinnacles of the kickboxing world. Also stars George Young, Miriam Jones, Julius Dorsey, a spring release. Now this is the LA Times who would announce this. However, in Memphis, Tennessee, it was never noted that Anthony Elmore, a black film production company, made a movie. You see, Memphis Film Commissioner Linn Sitler is the only film commissioner in America who mistakenly write that a 16mm film can be an independent 35mm independent theatrical film release. See, this communication asks that the Memphis Shelby County Board of Commissioners come together and formally censure Memphis Film Commissioner Linn Sitler for writing. Now she writes, again, in her January 23rd, 2020 statement, she writes, research shows that he is not the city's first independent feature filmmaker, as some of his communications have stated. This communication asks that the Memphis Shelby County Board of Commissioners asked Linn Sitler to present her research or records that proves a 16mm film as an independent theatrical release. Let's explain the difficulty of producing a 35mm film in Memphis, Tennessee. There did not exist a 35mm camera in Memphis. Memphis did not have a 35mm film lab that could develop the film or make a print. Memphis did not have anywhere to edit a 35mm film, nor did there exist any company in Memphis that could even produce an optical soundtrack. We will bet our reputation that Memphis Film Commissioner Linn Sitler has no idea about an optical track printed on a film. See, on the edge of a 35mm film print shows 4 types of soundtrack. The stereo optical sound strip is located on the right with waveforms from the left and right channels. Now, to the far left is the Sony dynamic digital stereo track. That's the blue area to the left of the sprockets. Then the Dolby digital gray area between the sprockets labeled with Dolby digital logo in the middle is the right of the analog optical sound to the Dolby time code dash line. Now, on a film you have a soundtrack, a music track, an effects track, you have time code. When a film is played in a foreign country, you remove the voice track and you can dub in a new voice. See, you need time code. Let us share with the Film Commission a scene from this 1987 film shown in Germany. Anthony Elmore is Tennessee's first independent filmmaker, was treated better in Germany than he was treated in Memphis, Tennessee. You see, a German youth traveled all the way from Germany to meet Elmore and to see Graceland. Let's look at a scene from the 1987 production of Anthony Elmore's movie The Contemporary Gladiator. Let's show you a scene in German.
Ich will sagen, dass ich den Kampf großartig fand. Ich war bei allen Kämpfen dabei, aber Ihrer war mit Abstand der beste.
Hey, danke, das freut mich sehr.
Wissen Sie, ich bin überrascht, einen Mann wie Sie allein zu finden.
Ich bin überrascht, dass ich von einer hübschen Frau wie Ihnen angeredet werde.
Oh. Wissen Sie, ich habe Sie in letzter Zeit beobachtet. Ich finde, Sie machen Ihren Job brillant. Ich sagte zu mir, aber nein, sie kann nicht von hier sein. Was machen Sie sonst so?
Nun, bis vor kurzem arbeitete ich in einer Public Relation Firma.